To the victors go the spoils, right? The winners write the history books. People love winners. So let's talk about how to win in fighting. Let's talk about how to win in life, how to win in investing. And they're all the same. The principles, the underlying fundamentals are the same. I have been in a few fights in my life, broke that index finger. I was actually in college, right around then. I don't know if it was a proud moment. I'm not ashamed of it. The guy earned a whooping. He literally asked for a whooping. And I'm a giver. He told me to jump. I jumped. Then his buddies jumped in, and then I ended up with 3 of them. But I walked away with a broken finger. They walked away with some black eyes and some bruised egos. But I digress. The older I get, and as I record this, I've been a CCW in the state of California, CCW holder for like 14 years, roughly, something like that. And you see all the rhetoric, all the hand holding, hand wringing from the weak-kneed liberal types about gun control and whatever. We don't want a bunch of cowboys running around. But the reality is, when I started carrying a gun regularly, I calmed way down. No more road rage. I'm more patient with people because I know with great power comes great responsibility. And they pound that into our heads. So I make sure that I do not put myself into a risky situation. I am constantly looking for ways out. I'm looking for ways to minimize the chance of harm coming to anyone. So I'll let people in on traffic. I'll use my blinker, and do my best to plan ahead of time so I'm not cutting in and pissing somebody off, because it truly is like the best fights are the ones you don't get into. They'll make a joke about flying, right? The best, any landing you can walk away from is a good landing. I'm like, okay, theoretically, yeah, but you got a lot of people to answer to. So you do want to avoid the fight, right? And then if you must fight, you need to set the terms. You need to pick the location. You need to strike quickly, aggressively, right, with great violence. If you look at guys like the Navy SEALs, and Rangers, Delta, and whatever, I've gotten to know a lot of those guys. A classmate of mine was a Navy SEAL, and I've done the Tampa Bay Frogman Swim 7 times. We swim across Tampa Bay 3.5 miles and raise money for the Navy SEAL Foundation. So I've gotten to know John well and several other guys. And being here in Southern California, I trained jiu-jitsu with some guys and Navy SEALs. And so and even before all that, I was reading all the books. I was always, enamored with what they go through and what they do. And while they are badasses, right? I remember John telling me this. Most of the time, the work they did, they were not fighting. They were doing recon. I met this guy. He was literally one of the first frogmen ever and was doing it in World War II. And they had to swim up to the beaches and mark where those, like cracker jacks, whatever they call them, like the big balls, they were X's, right? But multiple X's. So the Marines, the amphibious assaults couldn't make it up there, right? So it would block them. So those guys and later Marines, like they're looking at the tides. They're plotting that. They're trying to see where the enemy is later on, like Kuwait and stuff. We're looking at communication towers. That's one of the first things you take out, right? It's communication. You want your enemy in the dark. But this guy, they would swim up, and this is true UDT frogmen, right? Literally just the old shorts, a monocle, right? The old school, just one big face mask, a knife. And they would then bring like det cord, right? Because they would wrap these things up so they could blow them. So then the amphibious assaults could come in, But I tell you that because a lot of the things that we think we know, or that may be common now, are not always the truth, and they haven't always been that way. Yes, with a 20-year war overseas, Navy SEALs did a lot of fighting, right, in the city. But traditionally, and I think still, when you look at Lone Survivor, they were tasked to 4 guys go in quietly, get some intel, maybe take a shot, but they were not going in guns a-blazing. They're being smart about it. Now, when they do go in with guns a-blazing. They don't send 2 guys. They'll send 22 guys against 2 guys. right? When they went to get Osama bin Laden, 3 helicopters. Obviously, one was a backup. It was a good thing it was a backup. But they go in with overwhelming force, okay? Because the reality is those at the pointy end of the spear are the ones getting shot at. They're the ones going to get injured and die. So they want to stack the odds in their favor, okay? They don't want a fair fight. So you got to pick your battles. And so, again, carrying a firearm, I've picked my non-battles, fortunately, right? I haven't had to use it ever, even come close. As I've trained jiu-jitsu now for, 8 years. I did get in one fight almost 3 years ago, and it was at a neighbor's house, and everybody was drunk, and I didn't really get in a fight. I just took a guy down and sat on him. But because I had training, I was able to subdue him. He was drunk, but he was a young guy, athlete, wrestler, but he was drunk. And being able to subdue him, right, take my shot, move quickly, move violently, move aggressively, but with training, it was grappling. I did not have to hit him. Nobody got hurt. Actually, I got hurt. I felt we hit the wall. I've got some pictures. Remind me, I'll show you those pictures one day. But you've got to pick your battles, right? And the same is true in investing. Every time I lost my ass, and unfortunately, it was several times. I'm thick-headed. It takes me a while to learn lessons. Every time I lost my ass, it was because I went into something I did not know. I put too much hope and trust and faith in people, really, that I did not know all that well. People who did not have expertise in the field we were going into. One, I was 22, 23 years old, invested $10,000 in a thing that was a great idea. There are plenty of great ideas. Just didn't happen. My dad lost 10 grand in that deal. Later on, I put even more money and some family money into a retail cigar and wine store. Why? Because I had clients in the IT space who liked wine and cigars. We would meet and smoke cigars and drink wine on my company's dollar. So we were eating and drinking for free. And we go, oh yeah, let's go buy a store. Then what do we do? At the last minute, get a store out this way. They were all in Phoenix. So now we put money in a rush, thinking we're getting a better deal. And it was a better deal on paper because it was an up and running store rather than trying to build one out. But we had no expertise in the business. None of us lived next to it, right? It was an hour away for me to drive down to. I had no experience in it. I had no time to run it. Now we have added costs. Okay, we lost our butts. Invested in an apartment complex with a buddy of mine. Now, he had experience in single-family residences. He had done well, but running an apartment is different than managing some homes. So all these times, I tell you this, all these times that I lost because I didn't pick my battles. Okay, I went in blind. You hear Jocko talk about it. I just did a full frontal assault right up the middle. Did not take the time to evaluate, to do some recon, to see where the strengths and weaknesses were, evaluate the opportunity, evaluate the risk, and I lost. And look, I'm about to be 55. Now, fortunately, I've had deals go very well. But when you take big losses, it's hard to recover. Okay, it's hard to recover monetarily. It's hard to recover emotionally. It's hard to recover your confidence. You start to second guess yourself. So look, you're going to spend a certain number of units, whatever you want to call it, right? But just imagine like a jug of milk, but it's filled with units of effort, of worry, of concern. You're going to use that up. Either you're going to drain that thing doing your due diligence, analyzing, maybe spend a little bit of money paying an expert, a tax attorney, a business attorney, an accountant, somebody to evaluate things. Okay, so you spent $300,000, $500,000, $2,000 here and there. Okay, well, now you start to build up a Rolodex for you young whippersnappers, right? That's a old thing we used to keep business cards in and have names like on paper. You flip through it alphabetically. But you'll build up a Rolodex of professionals that will serve you well. I guarantee you. If you get to know 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 accountants, financial advisors, attorneys, general contractors, uh, roofing inspectors, HVAC inspectors, electricians, plumbers. You build up a network of 5 to 20 of those people. They're going to refer you deals. They're going to refer you opportunities. They're going to bring you in on deals. But anyway, back, you got this jug. You're going to use it up either before you get into the deal or after. And the problem is once you are in the deal, your money's gone, at least it's committed, and now you're draining that jug down to nothing. Okay, and if you want some sleepless nights, go into a deal blind. Go into a deal trusting someone else. Because here's the sniff test. If you cannot explain the opportunity on the back of an envelope over dinner, over lunch, to a fifth grader, then you don't know it well enough to be investing significant sums of money into that deal. Period. Okay, and I was a stockbroker back in the day. It was my first job when I got out of the Air Force. I had all the 6 and 7 and 63 and 65. I had my life license. I had all that. I started investing as a senior in college. I was investing in my year at A&M with a buddy of mine, and I would see it, and I still see it. I see, medical professionals wanting to get into crypto or technology. I see technology experts getting into retail, right? We got into wine and cigars because it was our hobby, because we liked it. Invest in what you know. Can you explain it on the back of an envelope, on a napkin, to a fifth grader? That's the sniff test. Okay, so pick your fights. And there is no shame in walking away. That's why it's good to have great power. It's why it's good to carry a gun. It's why it's good to train jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, boxing, something. I know that 99 out of 100 of the dudes mouthing off to me they're going to kick my butt cannot kick my butt. And I'm not even talking about with a gun, just like hand to hand. And the one that is yapping, okay, probably isn't a skilled fighter. Okay, or just having a bad day. So I don't mind walking away. Okay, I'm not embarrassed. You can do whatever you want to me. Now you start messing with my family, it's on like Donkey Kong. Okay, but even that, I'm going to get them to a safe place before I come back and engage. You got to pick your battles. Okay, you need to, just like in sales, you must disqualify your prospects. You must disqualify the deals. Hey, thank you for bringing me in on this. What's wrong with it? Who else passed this up? What's the downside on this, right? And negotiate your own terms. And I learned that on that apartment deal. My buddy gave different terms to another buddy. That guy got all of his money back. I didn't. Negotiate your own terms. I'm negotiating a deal right now. A guy came to me with all these terms. It looked good. I'm like, well, let's talk some more about it. Okay. You got to be willing to walk away. The old adage is if you're not ready and willing to say no, if you're not ready and willing to walk away from the negotiation table, you have no business being at the negotiation table. And if you don't know who the chump is, if you don't know who the sucker is at the table, it's you. Okay. If you know anything about poker, and I only know a little bit about poker, I'm not very good at it, but I know people and I know the game. And I know that you play the person. You play the person much more than the hand, right? You play your opponent more than you play your hand. So you've got to learn how to disqualify. You've got that jug of hope, of energy, of fear, of concern, of sweat equity. You use most of it going in. You make your money going into the deal, okay? You win your fights by sizing up the opportunity and attacking from a vantage point that's good for you. In business, you negotiate from a position of strength, okay? So you've got to take your time. Do not rush into deals. Somebody comes to you totally breathless. Oh, this is the one time only. It's the best thing ever. You got to get on this. You'll never have another opportunity like this again. Maybe, but you probably will. Like I said, ideas are a dime a dozen. I can't tell you how many people have come to me over the years. Hey, we're dealing in this industry. It's a quadrillion-dollar industry. If we get 1/2 of 1/10 of 1%, we're all millionaires. So look, you come work with us for free, right? You get us the software that the CRM, you set everything up, you get our drip sequences done, our landing pages, do the copywriting, create the products, the upsells, all the e-commerce stuff, the affiliate modules. Look, you get all that. And look, well, we're going to cut you in on this deal. I'm like, how about this? How about you give me $5,000 and I'll get you set up and I'll just hand it over to you. You can keep all the money. Not once did I ever see any of those deals come through. They didn't give me the setup money, and none of them made that 1/10 of 1/2 of 1/100th of 1 bazillionth of a percent. So look, don't fall for it. Slow and steady does win the race. Money does love speed. Okay, there's always a dichotomy. But if you cannot sleep well at night because of a deal that you're in, you need to either get out of the deal or lower your exposure until you can sleep at night. Okay, it's a land. We live in the land of opportunity, regardless of what people say, who's in office, what Bitcoin is doing, where the Dow is at. And look, when things are down, when there's chaos, when there's turmoil, when there's uncertainty, there's more opportunity. People are looking for security, for confidence. If you can be that calm in the storm, if you're known as someone that is calm in the storm, steady Eddie, you're reliable, you will have more opportunities than you can ever get around to. The toughest thing I have to do now is say no. I'm constantly filtering my emails, constantly unsubscribing from stuff, constantly deleting things, creating filters and just routing those emails. I'll skim them later if I have time. I say no way more often than I say yes. And I say no way more often than ever before. And it's accelerating. Okay? So there's plenty of deals out there and more will come. Be calm, pay attention, keep your eyes wide open. Like they say, keep your powder dry, right? It comes from the old school, and the old muskets, right? They literally had powder in a little deer skin or whatever skin pouch, right? Dump it in, put the cotton, put the ball in, pack it in, then wait till you see the whites of their eyes. Imagine that, right? You got to keep your powder dry. So they're marching, through the woods, hundreds of years ago, barefoot maybe, and now you got to wait till you see the whites of their eyes. Do you know how close that is? You got hundreds or thousands of people marching down to kill you, and you're going to sit there and wait till you see the whites of their eyes. And that was important back then because, you shoot a ball right from a musket. That thing's not accurate. So you're just wasting time and ammo if you're shooting too far. So have those steady Eddie nerves. Right? Look that opportunity in the eye. Wait until you can see the whites of their eyes. See the opportunity for what it is. If it is truly an opportunity, you will know. Okay? And the more you can say no, it's funny, but it's true. One of the main keys they say in negotiation is to say no until your tongue bleeds and then say no one more time. People will come back to you. They will renegotiate their own terms. When it's obvious, it'll be an easy decision. You'll feel it. You'll feel it in your bones. You'll feel it in your gut. You'll know. You'll be excited as well when you truly know it's a good deal because you fought for it, right? You emptied that jug ahead of time. Now you can invest with confidence. So choose your battles. Not all of them need to be fought. You can't fight all of them. But to fight the decisive battles and win, keep that powder dry. All right? Thanks for watching. I'll go sell something.